again, everybody, and welcome to Week 13 of the high school football season here on Mirror TV on YouTube. I am joined this week by Dan Isenberg of the Altoona Mirror Sports Department. Dan is number one in our high school football picks. If you read Wednesday morning's paper, he should have been on the show earlier, but Mike Boydham just kept fighting me, wouldn't let me put Dan on.
Hi, Mike.
But Mike is on vacation. We are not allowed to say where, other than he has been reassigned for the week. He'll be back next week. We got to have some teams still playing next week because of these matchups. Our first matchup we're going to talk about, our first two, is going to be the District 6 1A semifinals. Friday nights, Bishop Guilfoyle versus Salzburg at St. Francis. Saturday, it's Purchase Line at Juniata Valley. The first game, BG, the number 1 seed, Salzburg, the number 4 seed. From all of our research, what's your take on that game coming up?
Well, I really like BG in this game. They've had a bit of an up and down year. I mean, if you can call 8-2 in the regular season up and down year. They had a loss against Westmont, a loss against Richland. They were both playoff teams this year. I fully expect Wheeler and company to stick to a very similar formula to what they had last week over their win against McCourt. A lot of Keegan Myrick, a lot of running the football. Cameron Maloney, he had a big game on defense last week for BG. I expect a lot out of him again this week against Salzburg.
And the McCloskey kid, too, had a big turnover. And you're talking about Keegan Myrick. Keegan Myrick has put up, for those who are not BG fans, he put up video game numbers. 41 carries last week, almost 200 yards rushing. And the thing is, and Salzburg probably knows that you got to stop Keegan Myrick to beat BG. Well, so did last week's opponent, too. BG only threw the ball, I think, 3 or 4 times. So they kept just giving the ball to Myrick, and he kept scoring. And the thing we don't mention enough is that offensive line. Because for him to run, that offensive line has to be doing their job. And those kids have been doing their job. And shame on me for not mentioning more of those names. But those kids have been doing really well. The defense he was talking about, they need to have some kids step up and make some plays. Because I was told by John Hartsock, who I think has seen Salzburg, he says they're pretty decent, so this isn't going to be a walk in the park for Guilfoyle.
Their running back, Angelo Bartolini, he was a star for the Trojans last week. He had 3 touchdowns in Salzburg's win. Salzburg only has losses to Marion Center, Ligonier Valley, and fellow 1A semifinalist Purchase Line. They're going to be playing Valley in the other semifinal we'll be talking about here in a few minutes.
Yeah, and actually that's a great transition to our next game. Purchase Line, the number 7 seed, which is the lowest seed left in that Final Four. At Juniata Valley, 7 p.m. Juniata Valley, the defending District 6 champs. And just the 4 names that I wrote down. I mean, I know Purchase Line doesn't have to watch this to know who they have to stop. But Gabe Brower, Ryan Beatrice, Caden Rupert, and Jacob Henser. I mean, those 4 kids, usually in high school, you concern with stopping 1 kid. You play Juniata Valley, you have to concern yourself with stopping 4 kids. Do you think Purchase Line has a chance in this game?
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. Like you said, Purchase Line, they're coming off a big win last week. They had knockoff Portage. I mean, Portage is
big upset win.
Big upset win for Purchase Line against Portage. But Portage was also without 1,400 yard rusher Josh Pfister, and Purchase Line only managed 25 points, and 19 of those points came in the first half. They're going to need a better offensive performance than that if they're going to be able to stop Valley, who was very dominant last week when they were playing Homer Center. And
I keep thinking that next week, when Mike gets back, that we will be talking about BG, Juniata Valley. But if we're not, then the Purchase Line and the Salzburg people can, I guess, send us emails and they can complain. Our next game we're going to talk about, and this is a really tall task, Tussey Mountain. That's the District 5 champ. This is a state playoff game. They're getting Farrell, the District 10 champ, and BG people will tell you about Farrell. That game's going to be played Saturday 1 at Slippery Rock. Farrell, Dan has actually a bunch of information on Farrell, but the key for Tussey Mountain in this game is going to be they need to have long, sustained drives, like 13, 14-play drives, because Farrell will get on the field, and they're going to, boom, boom, 3-play drives, touchdown. So that means guys like Caden Matt Leonard, Tyler Rhodes, those guys are going to have to come up big on offense because you can't play catch-up with Farrell. You got to stay ahead of them or stay even with them to stay in this game. What do you know about Farrell?
Farrell, they have not lost since the calendar flipped to September. They had 2 losses to start the season in August, and they've won 10 straight since then. They have 3 players. They went over 100 yards on offense last week. Anthony Stallworth, 255 yards on just 15 carries. The majority of that, 241 yards, came on 10 carries in the second half. They have won, what I believe I wrote here. They beat Maplewood last week. It was a 35-20 game.
That's actually a close game for Farrell, because usually their games are all blowouts.
Yeah, and that was their 5th straight District 10 championship. So kudos to them for sustained dominance in that district.
They're a juggernaut in District 10, yeah. And speaking of another district state game, the Bedford, the District 5 champ, playing another team in the mirror area, Bald Eagle area, District 6 champ, 3A. This game's going to be at Hollidaysburg at 7 o'clock Friday night. Bald Eagle area, Jaden Jones, quarterback. This guy just, again, I use the word video game numbers. He completed 16, I believe, 15 to 19 passes last week, and 2 kids caught the majority of those passes, Matt Reese and Caden Bittinger.
6 total touchdowns for the Eagles last week. I believe his name was Caden Bittinger.
Yep.
He had 10 for 140 and 3 of those touchdowns. Matt Reese was 6 for 192 and 2 scores.
And they don't run the ball.
Yeah.
They don't. If you stop their pass game, if Bedford's going to do that, then boom. And now in high school, it's kind of hard to find 2 corners that are going to be able to take out 2 receivers. But that's Bedford's chance, because Bedford's going with a quarterback, a 10th grader named Mercury Swaim, who I've talked about throughout this year. That kid in 7th grade, when he was playing Hollidaysburg, was just lighting up the football field as a 7th grader. Now he's a 10th grader. Since he took over a quarterback, he's a threat to run or pass the ball, and that's what Bald Eagle area is going to have to be concerned with. And you have some
that's Bedford's bread and butter, like you said, is running the football. Both Elijah Cook and Mercury Swaim are both, if they both had performances like they did last week, could go over 1,000 yards rushing for the season. So you couldn't have 2 teams that are more polar opposites. Like you said, Bald Eagle likes to run and gun the ball down the field. Bedford likes to run the ball, and they have a little Mercury Swaim in there with the pass action. So it's going to be an interesting matchup on Friday night.
And I'm off Friday night, but there's no way Mrs. Franco is going to want to go watch a high school football game with me in which she has nobody and no dog in the race, no pony in the race. I guess I don't want to say dogs. We don't want to upset the animal rights people. But sticking with District 5, our last game we're going to look at Saturday, 2A state playoff game, Wilmington, another District 10 power, which I remember from the days Wilmington and Tyrone were always playing each other in the first or second round of states when my brother John was coaching Tyrone the first time around. They get Chestnut Ridge, the District 7 champ. That game is at Somerset, Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Yeah, Wilmington's coming off a big win, 45-7 over Greenville. Chestnut Ridge beat up on Westinghouse.
That was actually Berlin.
Berlin, I'm sorry, I apologize. Berlin. Bedford beat Westinghouse. It's a good thing Dan's here to correct me. It's like Mike's here already. We'll put Mike's picture in the corner. It'll be the same way. But Logan Pfister, the big star in the Chestnut Ridge offense. But what are you expecting out of this game?
Like you said, Pfister had a big game for them last week. I expect to see a similar performance out of him. He was 11 for 16, 154 yards passing, 13 for 91 rushing last week, and he's going to probably need his best day ever as the Lions quarterback if they're going to be able to win this one, because Wilmington is a powerhouse. Like you said, they won their 4th straight District 10 championship last week. They've scored at least 37 points in every game they've played this year, and they've pitched 4 shutouts. So it's going to be rough riding for the Lions this week.
And you only think the time you hear about Wilmington throughout the years during football season, but just from last weekend, their defensive people for Chestnut Ridge, like Dwayne Nisley, Matt Weissong, Trevor White, came up with big plays last week. Those 3 are going to have to do it again, and plus get some help, because this is, if anybody can pull it off, it'd be Matt. Now I'm Chestnut Ridge's coach, Max Shoemaker.
Yes.
I'm getting old. You got to forgive me. I'm 54. Dan's still young enough not to stutter. But hopefully next week I'd love to be sitting there still talking about Chestnut Ridge. That'll do it for this week's game. We're getting smaller numbers now because the season is winding down.
Just 2 quick notes. The winner of the Bedford game is going to get Sharon and Grove City. They're playing for the 2A10 title on Saturday.
And Sharon's a beast.
And the winner of that game after that, they will play the winner of the Whitfield Championship game. They get a free pass to the state semifinals. That's going to be Central Valley and Aliquippa.
Aliquippa, another beast.
Another state power, traditional, been around for a long time. The winner of Wilmington Ridge, they're going to get the winner of Ridgeway, Johnsonburg, and Clarion. That's a D9 championship game, and that's Saturday at DuBois Middle School.
There you go. Mike would have had stuff like that. Then Mike's going to have to be on his game when he gets back from assignment. That's all we're allowed to say. We can't say anything else of where Mike is on vacation. But for our guest, Dan Isenberg, I'm Scott Franco. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week on Mirror TV.